Hello everyone, today is Sunday, April 26th. What a beautiful couple days we've had recently. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to get outside, enjoy themselves, playing outside, maybe doing some yard work, maybe a little bit of both, huh? I bet mom and dad appreciate that. I got myself a new bike last week, not sure if I mentioned that to anyone or not. Got myself a new Trek, and I went out yesterday and went down the Walker and did a 27-mile bike ride, so it was awesome. I've been doing some yard work and all that other fun springtime stuff. The other thing that I did, with the social distancing and all that kind of stuff, the hairstylists and the barbers have been shut down, so I went and bought myself a pair of clippers and guess what? Gave myself a haircut. You ready for this? No laughing, okay? Desperate times, desperate measures, right? Here we go. Did it myself though, huh? Pretty smooth. Yeah, that is short. I didn't realize that it was going to be that short. So, all right, baseball cap back on. Here we go. Going to read to you today chapter 18. It's called Deceased, and it's by Ray. So Ray says, Ray looked at the picture he'd taken from the schoolroom, and he and his platoon continued their march north. The strangest thing about the photo was that no one was smiling. It was like they all knew they were going to end up dead in that classroom. Ray wondered if the sailors on the battleship would still have fired if they knew they were killing school children. Whole villages of innocent people. But he had done that. So why should the sailors be any different? Big John put his arm around Ray's neck and gave him a playful headlock. Still a softy after all this time, huh, barbecue? Ray tried to smile. Big John liked to talk tough, and he was tough. But Big John did have a heart inside that big barrel chest of his. Ray was sure of it. It had just been hardened over by combat. Ray had learned to hate the Japanese as much as Big John and the other old-timers did. But he did still hold out hope Big John would start to see the Okinawans differently. The big guns of the U.S. Navy fleet offshore erupted like thunder, and Ray and Big John froze. The battleships kept up a constant bombardment on the southern part of the island all day, and like the rain, everybody had just gotten used to it by now. But this was something new. It's different this time, Ray said. He was surprised to find out that he'd been around long enough to realize it. I hear 16-inch, 5-inch anti-aircraft rockets. They're shooting everything at once. Big John nodded. What is it? What's happening? Zimmer asked. Has to be a Jap counterattack. Big one, Big John said. They all waited while Gonzalez radioed in. He blinked in surprise when he finally got through and learned what it was. They're celebrating, he told them. What do you suppose they're celebrating? This is like mid-April 1945. Not sure if you're too familiar with your history, but something special happened. They're celebrating, he told them. Germany has surrendered. Hitler committed suicide. The Nazis are through. Ray felt himself go slack. He knew he should be happy about the news. The war in Europe had been going on for 6 long years, and it had cost the lives of millions of people, soldiers and civilians alike. And he was glad it was over, for the sake of all the people who were still fighting it. But it didn't change anything for Ray or his squad. Looking around at the rest of the Marines, he could see that most of them felt the same way. But that's great, isn't it? Zimmer asked, seeing all the gloomy faces around him. He hadn't been on Okinawa long enough to understand. Yeah, it's good and all, Big John said, but Nazi Germany might as well be on the moon for all it matters to us. Another sergeant brought up a sack of mail. Another sergeant brought a sack of mail up through the lines, and everyone gathered around to see if they'd gotten a letter from home. Ray had a letter from his mother. It was mostly about planting the new corn crop back on the farm in Nebraska, and what his young cousins were up to. But she had included a photograph, too. It was a picture of Ray and his father at the state fair, mugging for the camera in silly pirate costumes. Ray had an eye patch and a fake beard and an old-fashioned flintlock pistol. And Pa wore a bandana and brandished a wooden cutlass, like a wooden arm, I think. They were laughing and leaning into each other, a loving father and son. Ray figured his mother had sent him the picture to remind him that his father wasn't always a terrible person, and for a moment, it worked. Ray smiled to himself at the memory of that day, and he got homesick all over again. But then Ray remembered a night not long after the one at the fair, when his pa had stormed drunk from the house, leaving broken furniture in his wake. Ma had begged Ray not to judge his father too harshly. "He's not the man I married," she told Ray. He was different before the war. They were both different now, Ray and his father. But they still were happy people in the photograph too, weren't they? Could they be both at once? "What'd you get, Busco?" Gonzalez asked one of the other Marines. "A letter from my sweetheart, Sarah," Busco beamed. "She's training to be a teacher back in North Carolina. Met her on Atlantic Beach when I was down there training at Camp Lejeune. Gonna move in with her parents when you get back?" Zimmer kidded him. "I hope not. Her daddy runs a funeral home." "Hey, get this," Zimmer said. He held a piece of paper. "I got a letter from the Missouri Department of Transportation. They say that if I don't pay all my traffic tickets, they're going to come arrest me." That got a lot of laughs. "Now, that I'd like to see," Ray said. "You ought to let 'em do it," said Big John. "Even jail'll be better than this ever-loving rain." As they got closer to the front lines, they passed exhausted soldiers headed north for a break. They were bloody and bandaged and muddy. They stumbled along, dog-tired, their heads down and eyes on the ground. On the rare occasion that one of them looked up, Ray saw that 1,000-yard stare. They looked like ghosts. Ray felt a lead weight grow heavier in his stomach, and it got harder and harder to pick up his feet and move forward. One of the ghosts glanced at Ray for a second as they passed. "Take plenty of grenades with you down there, Marine," he said. Farther on, Ray saw the evidence of the hard-fought battle alongside the muddy road. Empty ammo boxes, spent rifle clips, bloody bandages, bullet-riddled jackets and trousers. The American dead had already been removed, but there were dead Japanese everywhere. Ray winced and had to look away. Ray was a hunter. He had killed deer and stripped their skins, but this was different. It was unnatural, brutal. After seeing these horrible, broken bodies, Ray wasn't sure he could ever hunt again. Just like Pa, Ray realized. It had always been Ray's uncle who took him hunting. A sudden thought struck Ray. Was this why his Pa had argued so strongly against him enlisting? Had his father actually been trying to protect Ray from becoming the monster that he had become? Mortar shells exploded along the road, and Ray and his squad dove face down into the muck. Mud and rock geysered up around them, and the earth shook with the thunder of artillery. The Japanese were shooting at them in the daylight. This had never happened up north. "Into the foxholes!" Big John bellowed, and they leaped into the trenches that had been dug and redug a dozen times since Love Day a month ago. Ray held onto his helmet while the mortars fell all around them with the rain. "Zimmer, let me see that letter you got from the Missouri Department of Transportation," Big John hollered. Zimmer didn't understand, and neither did anyone else, but he handed it over anyways. Big John took a grease pencil out of his pocket and scrawled the word deceased across the envelope in block letters. Deceased means dead. There you go, Big John said. Now you can send that back to them in advance, and they won't bother you no more. All right, that's chapter 18 called Deceased. Ray's point of view. The next one is called Yoki from Hideki. All right, once again, hope everyone's having a great weekend. Hope you're outside enjoying the sunshine, the fresh air. Awesome. Ice is coming off the lakes. We'll be ready for the fishing opener. All right, everyone take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.